Hey guys, in this video we're covering ankle mobility. Specifically, we're going over plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, inversion, and the strengthening of the intrinsic foot muscles. To begin with, we're going to do a plantar flexion stretch with the assistance of a band and a raised surface. Begin by placing the band on top of your foot and attaching it to the other, and then placing the foot in line with the other one so that the band is in the same line. From here, we are going to bring the foot up while in a point. Here I want you to think of squeezing the quad and pointing the foot so the whole leg comes up as one. You can place the band lower down your foot if you'd like to get into more of a point.
Okay, so in this exercise we're going to work ankle plantar flexion. So you're going to strengthen the muscles on the back of the calf, but you're also going to get a good stretch on the back of the calf as well when you're moving the toes upwards towards the kneecap. This is going to help to strengthen your feet and get you better at pointing. It helps to position the band quite high so that when you point your toes, the band doesn't shoot off. It is quite common for people's feet to cramp up when doing this one, so don't worry if it does. If that happens to you, just rest and wait till it stops. It's also important to note that when Hallie points her toes, she's also squeezing her quads. You can pull the band in different directions so that you work different angles of the muscle. This helps to strengthen different positions rather than just working straight up and straight down. There's no right or wrong here, so just play with different angles and see what works for you.
Okay, so this is for people who are a little bit more restricted in their plantar flexion. So for example, if you're someone that can't sit on your feet like this, and your ankles do that, and it's really, really achy. You can use a mat. Obviously the mat can be higher than this, it doesn't have to be this low. And you can start from here, trying to come back and get yourself comfortable in it. And once you do a few rocks and 2 minutes, then you can start pushing down into the ground. So while I'm here, I'm comfortable sitting back, but if you're not, that's okay, you can move further forward. Then you can push down into the ground using these muscles here. And then you can also try to pull up, so you're curling your toes up like you're trying to get them up to your bum. And you can switch between those for pails and rails. And I'd say these are quite difficult, so probably you want to start with 5 seconds at a time, intermittently, and then work your way up to 10.
So for the pails contraction, she's pushing the top of her foot down into the ground, so she's going to feel that shin muscle engaging. She's going to contract for 10 seconds. And then for the rails contraction, she's going to pull her toes upwards, and she's going to engage her calf muscles. Okay, so here she's performing a plantar flexion split squat. Most of the work is being done on the foot that's flat on the ground. However, you do want to put a little bit of your body weight on that back foot so you can start strengthening that plantar flexion and strengthening those toes. This is the exact same exercise as before. However, we're using the wall for a little bit of support to help us bring ourselves up so we're not putting as much weight on that back leg. It doesn't have to be a wall. You can use a squat rack or you can use a box or anything to support yourself. Okay, the exact same split squat to strengthen plantar flexion, except this time we're loading it up and we're doing this to build even more strength in this position. This one is quite advanced, so make sure you don't load it too soon.
So this next one's a bit more advanced, but it's designed to work with your hamstring flexibility and compression strength. It could be handy if you're working on handstands as well in your programs. So what we're doing here is pushing our hands into the ground, so we're getting that compression strength element, and we're also tucking the feet under and stretching the front of our feet intermittently. The next exercise here is to pull your toes up towards your shins while you are in a hamstring stretch. You can bend your knees between each of the reps.
So here we're strengthening ankle dorsiflexion, and to do this we're going to lean up against the wall. We're going to keep our heels down on the ground and pull our toes up as high as we can towards our knees. If you're doing this correctly, you should feel a burn up the front of your shin on your anterior tibialis. We can also perform isometrics in this position, and to do that we're just going to pull the toes up towards the knees and contract and hold that position. In this next exercise, we're going to do a step over to strengthen ankle inversion. If you've ever gone over on your ankle, you're likely weak in this position. If this is the case, find something to hold on to so that you don't have to put your full weight on the ankle. This next exercise is a slightly more advanced variation for strengthening ankle inversion. To begin with, she's finding something to hold on to, and she's just rocking forward up onto the ankles and then back down until her bum's on the ground. And she's just repeating this process until she feels comfortable in this position. Once she's got used to this position and she's built a bit of strength in the ankles, she can then start standing up. There's no need to stand all the way up to begin with, just go to the point where you feel most comfortable. This is a pretty advanced way to work ankle inversion, so just make sure you've followed the previous stages to ensure that you have the strength in your feet to do this before trying it. Okay, so here we're doing a calf raise, and we're doing this to strengthen extension of the big toe and ankle plantar flexion. You can see that Hallie's holding onto a box for some balance and a bit of support, and her focus here is pushing up onto her toes as high as she can. So we can add weight to this exercise and advance it by placing a foam roller on our lower back and going down against the wall into a squat position. From this position here, it's easy to load it up with a kettlebell or a dumbbell, and the same rules apply as before. We're just going to push up as high on our toes as we can. So this exercise is going to stretch and strengthen extension of the big toe, and to do this we're using a PAILs and rails exercise. So to begin with, we're going to go into the stretch and we're going to hold that passively for 2 minutes. When this 2-minute stretch is over, we're then going to perform a PAILs contraction by pushing the big toe in to whatever it's up against. You want to give this 90 to 100% effort when you're pushing, and you're going to hold this contraction and maintain that intensity for 10 seconds. Directly after that 10 seconds, we're going to go into the rails contraction, and we're going to pull the big toe up and away from the object. And again, we're going to hold this for 10 seconds at 90 to 100% effort. So here, we're working on gaining control over our toes. So to begin with, she's going to pull all of her toes up and leave the big toe on the ground. Then she'll bring the big toe up, and then starting from the smallest toe, she's going to work her way down towards the ground, similar to a Mexican wave. This doesn't have to be perfect, and it is going to be frustrating if you've never tried these type of exercises before. So be patient and keep practicing, and this exercise should get easier. So this exercise works on splaying the toes and getting as much separation between each toe as you can. You can practice this one while standing, while sitting down, or even lying down. So here we have a knees over toes split squat, which is a great exercise for strengthening ankle dorsiflexion. This does require a good amount of mobility in the ankles, the knees and the hips. So to begin with, we're using an easier variation where we're going to put the front leg on something like a step, a box, or even plates like we've got stacked in the video. As we lunge forward, we're doing our best effort to try to get our thigh to touch our calf muscle. We also want to make sure that we're extending that back leg and not letting the knee touch the ground. As your mobility improves and you gain more strength in this exercise, we can then start lowering the step that the front leg is on. Eventually we will reach a position where we can get that front leg on the ground. When we get comfortable in this position and we've built some strength, we can then start looking at loading it, and we can do this in a front rack position with a barbell like in the video, or we can use a kettlebell or a dumbbell. As you can see, when Hallie lunges, she's doing her best effort to keep her torso upright and not leaning forward. It's pretty common to feel a stretch in the calf when you do this, but you shouldn't feel any pain.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you found that useful, please subscribe. And if you're interested in more about ankle mobility, this video was part of a program that we now have available on our website.